Good day everyone and welcome to another vlog for the Exodus 7 to 12K JV project. Now this week I didn't get to do anything visual, but I did get to work on sound and you are going to love this. Okay. So primarily I did research this week about finding out what kind of frog it would be that would have occurred in Egypt, because chapter 8 opens with the plague of the frogs. So of course Moses comes in, confronts Pharaoh. Pharaoh says no way. God says to Moses to tell Aaron to stretch out his hand. Frogs come up. The magicians make more frogs gonna come up. Just keep making it worse. And of course Pharaoh and his people, and of course the Israelites, spend some time with frogs. So which frog was it? Was it a common frog that everyone knows about? Was it like a brown field frog? Was it a grass green common frog? Was it a poison arrow frog? What was it? So basically what I did is, first stop I usually make is the lexical dictionaries and the normal, more like contemporary dictionaries for the King James, which was at least in my experience, the best English translation, which also one of the first in 1611. So that was the first one I went for, and I found out that it was from the Rana class. Unfortunately, it's got a lot of subspecies. I mean, whoa. So it wasn't good enough. So of course I had to look for other information, and I think through commentaries or whatever, I found, I don't remember exactly, it was too many websites, and I found another biblical dictionary called the Dr. William Smith Bible Dictionary. The copyright information says 1901, which is public domain, and it also has a writing date of 1888, somewhere around there. I'll put links in the description to this stuff, so you guys can go check that out. And according to him, that the only known species of frog which occurs in present Egypt, that's the time he wrote this, is Rana esculenta. That's the best Latin you're going to get out of me at this point. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily the frog that was present in Moses' day. There might have been different frogs. They might have been looking different. Might have been purple. Might have been yellow. I don't know. I did ask God to take me there and show me so I could even just film it in person, but unfortunately he didn't go for that one, even though I really would have loved to do that. I think language was part of the problem. Anyway, moving on. So the closest thing we have to go on in terms of the kind of frog that it could be is, of course, this one, at least according to the information we have available. I think they used the same frog in the Prince of Egypt, but I would have to go double check that. If they did, it would be awesome, because it means that at least our research says the same thing. And I'm not taking the Prince of Egypt to be my bearing in terms of correct information or not, but I know that they have teams of researchers. It's pretty much just me depending on the Holy Spirit to make sure that I get to the right conclusion. Anyway, moving on. So this is present Egypt as the time when he wrote it, and that's just about 117 years or so ago. Now, the whole thing with Moses was at least between 2,000 and 3,000 years ago. So who knows what kind of frog it would have been back then. Might have been this, might have not, I don't know, whatever. So this is just the frog that I feel led to use. So what does this frog look like, you ask? Well, that's what it looks like. Super cute, isn't it? It's a very small little frog. I think they said that in general, if you take both genders into account, it grows between 5 and 11 centimeters. in length, which is not very long. It's a very small little frog. Small enough to be annoying and get into everything, which is probably why it would have made a very, very good candidate for the plague. So we can go for this one, obviously. But this one doesn't croak in the typical way that other frogs do. It's got these little sacs on the side of its mouth. You can see over here that they're kind of bulged. Anyway, moving on. So what it does is when it croaks, it does this. Super cute. It got these little chubby cheeks. So I'll put also a video to what they do in the post itself. There's a YouTube video that films these. It's got really, really good sound as well. And this picture specifically is either a sketch or a photo, I'm not sure. Came from the American Museum Journal circa 1900, roughly 1918 volume. Also public domain, which is great. I'll put a link in the description to that too. I haven't found something to model this off yet. I can use a general frog and just color it the same way and just make the cheeks puff and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't found the T-pose equivalent for frogs just yet. I still have to go look for something in the line of dissection or, something along those lines just to get the right look. Because at the moment, if you try to model something like this and you use automatic weights to parent the mesh to the bone, it's just not going to work. It's going to be confused and you're just going to have to fix the whole thing later on, and I'm just not in the mood to do that. I'd rather do it right the first time. So basically what I'm looking for is something similar to this. This is just a very basic make human example of a T-pose. You can see that it is posed in a way where you can easily parent something and you won't accidentally drag something else into the equation. That's the reason why I'm looking for something along the lines of a dissection diagram. That would be ideal. I did find one, but it was very drawn from memory. It wasn't very accurate, so I'm not interested in using that one. So, unfortunately, at the moment, I have no modeled frogs, but we will get there, hopefully, this week. So, moving on to the sound of the frogs. This little application is something called EasySynth. It is like it says, synthesizer, specifically for the Android platform, and I've had this installed for a long time because I wanted something that could create that air raid siren kind of sound, and it's just the coolest sound ever. So I want to play you guys that. So that's basically the idea. So this little app has the ability to slide between notes. It makes it so flexible. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. I'm still learning about how to create synth sounds. When you open it, it's pretty much ready to do this sort of thing. I just added some reverb and echo in there just to get that environmental kind of feel in there as well. It does need a little bit more bass though. Anyway, so for the frogs, what I needed to do was I needed to create some croaking kind of sound, and thankfully this one has quite a few modifications. So if you switch to the mod section, unfortunately I don't have a screen capture for it. I want you guys to be able to use this program, so I just want to get this pencil thing working. Okay, so basically what this means is when you have a sound envelope or shape, it consists of a few parts. Now you've got your attack, you've got your decay, you've got your sustain, and you've got your release. Kind of looks like a little church. So you've got your attack, you've got your decay, you've got your sustain, and you've got your release. So if you've used equalizers and VSTs and all that kind of stuff before, you will definitely have seen this ADSR kind of thing going on. Now, personally, I don't exactly understand how this applies to equalizers. I just have an idea of how this applies to synthesizers. I'm still very new to synthesizers as well, so don't get this lofty idea of I'm this audio expert. No, I'm just sharing with you what God has taught me through university and studying this stuff. So, getting back on point. So if you think of a piano has a very strong attack because that's an initial ping sound. And it goes down very quickly and has a fairly long sustain depending on whether you use the pedal or not, and of course a very long release. So this is somewhat what a piano sound profile would look like. My personal quick drawing over here. So you would still have your attack, your decay, and your sustain, and your release. Now, the thing with frogs is that they croak. So even on the same note, you don't have a clean thing. You've got this graggly, you can almost say dirty kind of sound. Not dirty as in, how could you? Dirty as in, it's just not smooth. It's noisy. It's very noisy. So you would get something, and I'm just making an assumption here, you would get something that looks like, instead of this, you would have something that's very much like this. Or it would be something like this, almost like an EKG type of thing, which all pertains to a single attack, sustain, decay, and release. Attack, decay, sustain, and release. So I encourage you to check this out. There will be a link in the post to more information about how to synthesize sounds. But basically, the pulse creates a very strong repetition of this sound curve that is fairly harsh. And that is what I'm using at the moment for the frogs, but I am looking for something better, something that doesn't have that slight pitch underneath. So I'm going to play you a few notes. I've got my phone hooked up here. Basically, it sounds like this. Which is great. I really do like it. But if I go a little bit higher, you have to listen underneath that little crackle sound, and you will hear that the pitch is still in there. Now, if you've got a throne room filled with frogs, you're going to hear it because the sound has to be added over itself and echoed and reverbed, etc., etc., etc. So listen to this. You can hear it in the background. It's very, very smooth. Now, you don't hear it here very obviously. You can hear that the pulse has a pitch to it, but the pitch itself is fairly hidden. That is definitely a problem. It really is. I don't like it. But I do believe that in the harmonic section over here, which kind of looks like a very big equalizer, there should be something in there that I can do to get the that underlying pitch removed. Unfortunately, I didn't get to mess with that this week. I'm very new to this whole synthy thing. But anyway, I hope this app is useful to you guys as well. I'll put a link in the post to this app, as well as a manual on how to use it, which I also found this morning. So I'll be checking that out as well. That is it for this week. Have a great one, and God bless you.